Anxiety is something we all face at different points in life. It comes in like an uninvited guest, whispering doubts, stirring up fear, and making you feel like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of worry. It tells you that things will never get better, that you're always going to struggle, and that peace is just out of reach. But let me remind you today, anxiety is not your destiny. You were not created to live weighed down by fear. You were not designed to wake up every morning with a heavy heart, dreading the day ahead. God did not breathe life into you so that you would spend your years consumed by stress and uncertainty. He made you for more. He made you to walk in confidence, to live in joy, and to experience the fullness of His peace. Anxiety is a liar. It magnifies your problems and minimizes your strength. It makes you feel small in the face of challenges and convinces you that you are powerless against what you fear. But the truth is, what you fear has no power over you unless you give it permission. Fear is just faith in the wrong direction. Instead of believing in the worst case scenario, shift your focus to the one who holds your future. The enemy wants you to believe that anxiety is just part of who you are, that it's something you'll always have to deal with, but you are not called to live in a constant state of panic. You are not supposed to carry burdens that were never meant for you. When Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," Matthew 11:28, He wasn't making a suggestion. He was giving you a promise. You may have lived with anxiety for so long that it feels normal. Maybe you've learned to function with it, to push through the worry, to accept it as just the way things are. But normal is not the same as natural. You were not naturally created to live in fear. You were created to walk in peace. Anxiety is a weight, and the longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes. The good news is you don't have to carry it at all. You were made to thrive, not just survive. You were designed to wake up with joy, to face each day with confidence, to trust that no matter what happens, you are going to be okay. Anxiety may have been part of your past. It may even be part of your present, but it does not have to define your future. Peace is not something you have to earn. It is not something that comes only when circumstances are perfect, when the bills are paid, when the doctor's report is good, or when everything in life falls into place. Peace is your birthright. It was given to you the moment God breathed life into you. It is not dependent on the world around you. It is anchored in the presence of God within you. So many people go through life searching for peace in all the wrong places. They think, if I could just get that promotion, then I'll be at peace. If I could just find the right relationship, if I could just fix this problem, then I could finally breathe. But true peace isn't found in a changed situation. It's found in a changed perspective. It's the unshakable confidence that no matter what comes your way, you are safe in the hands of a loving God. Jesus said in John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." That means the peace He offers isn't temporary. It's not like the world's peace, which comes and goes based on circumstances. His peace is steady, constant, and unwavering. It is the kind of peace that allows you to sleep soundly in the middle of a storm, to stand firm when life feels uncertain, to smile even when you don't have all the answers. The enemy wants to steal your peace because he knows how powerful it is. When you have peace, you make better decisions. When you have peace, you walk in confidence. When you have peace, you are not easily shaken by fear or doubt. That's why the enemy will try to keep you distracted, worried, and overwhelmed. But he can only take what you are willing to give. Peace is already yours. It was gifted to you by God Himself. But just like any gift, you have to choose to receive it. You have to decide, I am not going to let anxiety rule my life. I am not going to let stress control my emotions. I choose peace. When you do that, you are stepping into the inheritance that was meant for you all along. You are walking in the freedom that Jesus paid for. You are claiming what has always been yours. Peace is not a luxury. It is not reserved for a select few who have perfect lives. It is your birthright. It is already inside of you, waiting for you to embrace it. No matter what you are facing today, you don't have to fight for peace. You just have to step into it. Life has a way of presenting us with challenges that are beyond our control. Unexpected news, unanswered questions, and uncertain futures can all bring stress, worry, and anxiety. Too often we try to take matters into our own hands, believing that if we just think hard enough, plan well enough, or work hard enough, we can make everything turn out the way we want. But the truth is, there are some things in life that no amount of effort or worry can change. That's why it's so important to learn this simple but powerful principle. Control what you can, release what you can't. There are things that are within your power. Your attitude, your responses, your daily choices. You can choose to walk in faith instead of fear. You can choose to speak life instead of negativity. You can choose to be grateful instead of focusing on what's missing. These are the things you have control over. But then there are things that are beyond your reach. The outcome of a medical report, the future that hasn't yet unfolded. These are the things you must learn to release into God's hand. When you try to control what isn't yours to control, you only wear yourself out. You become anxious, frustrated, and overwhelmed because you are carrying a weight you were never meant to bear. But when you surrender what you can't change, when you trust that God is working behind the scenes, you step into a supernatural peace that no circumstance can shake. Philippians 4:6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Notice it doesn't say figure everything out. It doesn't say worry until you have an answer. It simply says to bring it to God. Let Him handle what you cannot. Let Him open the right doors, close the wrong ones, and bring the right people into your life at the right time. Some of us are losing our joy trying to control things that were never meant to be in our hands. We're stressed over the future, worried about how things will turn out, anxious about what might happen. But peace comes when you recognize, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to fix everything. I just have to trust the one who does. God has not called you to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. He has called you to walk in faith, to do what you can, and to trust Him with what you can't. When you learn to release control, you make room for peace. You make space for God to do what only He can do. You stop striving and start resting, knowing that His plans are always greater than your worries. There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain, when the plans you made fall apart, when the people you counted on walk away, when the road ahead is unclear. It's in these moments that anxiety tries to creep in, whispering, what if things don't work out? What if this situation never changes? What if you're stuck here forever? But no matter what life looks like right now, no matter how unpredictable things may seem, one truth remains unshaken. God is always in control. Nothing that happens in your life catches God by surprise. He's not up in heaven pacing back and forth, wondering how things are going to work out for you. He already has a plan. He sees the end from the beginning. The very thing that looks like a setback to you may actually be a setup for something greater. That closed door, it's preparing you from something you didn't see. That delay, it's preparing you for something better than what you had in mind. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways and my thoughts than your thoughts." You may not understand why things are happening the way they are, but you can trust that God's ways are always for your good. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. And He is working all things together for your benefit, even when it doesn't feel like it. The enemy wants you to believe that because things are out of your hands, they are out of control. But just because you can't see a way doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because the answer hasn't come yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. God is not limited by time, by resources, or by human understanding. He is sovereign over every detail of your life, orchestrating things behind the scenes, aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances to fulfill His purpose for you. Think about the storms in your life. The times when you thought you wouldn't make it, the moments when you didn't see a way forward, yet here you are. What tried to break you didn't succeed. What tried to destroy you only made you stronger. That's because God was in control the whole time. He was holding you, guiding you, covering you, and leading you to where you needed to be. Worry comes when we forget who is in charge. Fear grows when we believe the lie that we are alone in our struggles. But faith rises when we remember that the same God who created the universe is the same God who is directing our steps. He is not distant. He is not passive. He is fully present, fully aware, and fully in control of everything concerning you. Your focus has power. What you choose to dwell on, think about, and speak over your life doesn't just stay in your mind. It grows, it expands, and it begins to shape your reality. If you magnify problems, they will feel bigger. If you magnify fear, it will take over your peace. If you magnify doubt, it will weaken your faith. But the same principle works in the opposite direction. When you magnify God, when you focus on His goodness, when you declare His promises over your life, peace, joy, and strength will begin to multiply. It's easy to let worry take center stage in our minds. The enemy loves to fill our thoughts with what ifs and worst case scenarios. What if I don't get the job? What if the situation never changes? What if things fall apart? But worry doesn't change anything except your peace. It drains your energy, clouds your perspective, and keeps you stuck in fear. Instead of magnifying the problem, shift your focus, magnify the God who is greater than any challenge you. David understood this principle. In Psalm 34:3, he said, "Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt His name together." Notice, he didn't say magnify your problems or magnify your fears. He said magnify the Lord. That means to make Him bigger in your mind than anything you are facing. It doesn't mean your problems disappear, but when you put them next to the greatness of God, their power over you begins to shrink. Think about a magnifying glass. It doesn't change the actual size of an object, it only changes the way you see it. When you magnify worry, you give it more power than it deserves. But when you magnify God, you remind yourself that He is bigger than the sickness, bigger than the financial struggle, bigger than the uncertainty, bigger than the fear. What you feed will grow. If you constantly rehearse the negative, it will dominate your thoughts. If you keep speaking defeat, you will start believing it. But if you begin to speak life, if you remind yourself, God is for me, He is working all things for my good, He is making a way where there seems to be no way, then faith will begin to rise. Peace will begin to settle in. Hope will start to take root. You have the power to choose what you magnify. You can focus on fear or you can focus on faith. You can dwell on problems or you can declare God's promises. Whatever you choose, just remember this: what you magnify multiplies. The mind is a battlefield. Every day you face thoughts that either build you up or tear you down. Thoughts that either lead you to peace or drag you into anxiety. Anxiety doesn't start with a situation. It starts with what you think about the situation. It's the mental images you play in your mind, the worries you replay over and over, the what ifs that multiply as you let them consume you. Anxiety is not just an emotion, it's a battle of the mind. When you allow your thoughts to be overtaken by fear, doubt, and worry, anxiety begins to take root. But the good news is you don't have to let your mind run wild. You have the power to take control of your thoughts, to silence the lies of fear, and to replace the what ifs with the promises of God. The Apostle Paul understood this truth in 2 Corinthians 10:05. He encourages us to take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. This means that whenever a thought of worry, doubt, or fear rises up, we have the authority to take it captive, to arrest it before it has the chance to spiral out of control. You don't have to entertain every thought that comes your way. You have the power to reject thoughts that do not align with God's truth. The enemy knows that if he can control your mind, he can control your life. If he can convince you that you're not good enough, that things will never improve, that your worst fears will come true, then he can keep you paralyzed by anxiety. But the Bible tells us in Romans 12:02 to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not a passive process. It requires intentional effort. You have to be proactive about what you allow to occupy your thoughts. When anxious thoughts arise, you can choose to reject them and replace them with thoughts of faith, hope, and trust in God's goodness. You can declare, I will not be controlled by fear. I will not allow anxiety to rule my life. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. This declaration shifts your focus from the fear of the unknown to the certainty of God's presence and power. The battle of anxiety is not won by simply wishing the fear away. It's won by actively choosing to think differently, by choosing to trust in God's promises over the lies of fear. When you take control of your thoughts and make them obedient to Christ, anxiety no longer has the power to control you. You may not be able to control every circumstance, but you can control how you respond to those circumstances by taking your thoughts captive. Every victory over anxiety starts in the mind. The moment you refuse to let fear dominate your thoughts, peace begins to take over. You're not helpless in this battle. You have a weapon, and that weapon is the truth of God's word. When you choose to focus on his promises, you choose peace over panic, faith over fear, and victory over anxiety. When life gets overwhelming, it's easy to feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. The struggles, the fears, the uncertainties, they can make you feel isolated, like you're facing everything by yourself. It's in those moments that anxiety loves to whisper, you're alone. No one understands. No one sees what you're going through. But here's the truth you need to hear today. You are not alone. No matter how dark the moment may feel, no matter how distant the world around you may seem, God is with you. He has promised never to leave you or forsake you. You are never walking through your struggles on your own. In Psalm 34:18, the Bible tells us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. He is not distant when you're hurting. He is near. He is with you in the quiet, in the storm, in the uncertainty. But God's presence is not the only source of strength you have. You are part of a larger community, a family of believers who walk beside you, lift you up, and carry your burdens with you. Sometimes we feel like we have to be strong for everyone, like we have to pretend everything is okay when it's not. But the body of Christ was designed to support each other. In Galatians 6:02, we are told, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of, you don't have to go through this alone. There are people around you who are ready and willing to help you, to encourage you, and to remind you of the truth that you may have forgotten in your pain. When you feel lonely, when you feel like no one understands, remind yourself of God's truth. He is always with you. You are part of His family, and He has placed people in your life who care for you. You are not alone in your struggles, and you don't have to carry your burdens by yourself. Anxiety loves to isolate you, to make you believe that you're on an island separated from everyone else. But God's love has no bounds. It reaches you wherever you are, and His people surround you with support and encouragement. When you feel like you're facing the battle alone, remember this: you are not alone. You are seen, you are loved, and you are held in the arms of a faithful God who will never leave you. In the midst of life's challenges, it's easy to focus on what's going wrong. The problems, the setbacks, the frustrations, they demand your attention. Anxiety creeps in as you fixate on what you lack or what you fear you might lose. But there's a powerful tool available to you, one that shifts your focus, lifts your spirit, and can disarm the grip anxiety has on your life: gratitude. Gratitude is not just a nice feeling, it is a weapon. When you choose to give thanks, even in the middle of your struggles, you are engaging in spiritual warfare. You are refusing to let the enemy steal your joy, and you are aligning yourself with the goodness of God. The Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Notice it doesn't say give thanks for all circumstances. It says in all circumstances. That means no matter what you're facing, you have a choice in how you respond. Gratitude shifts your perspective from lack to abundance, from fear to faith. When you begin to thank God for the blessings you still have, you create space for peace to flood your heart. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong, you focus on what's right. Instead of magnifying your problems, you magnify the faithfulness of God. Psalm 104 says, enter His gates with thanksgiving and His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him and praise His name. When you enter God's presence with a heart full of gratitude, you invite peace to reign in your mind. Gratitude unlocks the door to His peace, His provision, and His presence. It's a reminder that even in the hardest seasons, God is still good, He is still faithful, and He is still working on your behalf. Gratitude also helps to break the power of anxiety. Anxiety thrives on negative thoughts. It feeds on worry, doubt, and fear. But gratitude doesn't leave any room for those things. When you thank God for His provision, His protection, and His promises, anxiety has no ground to stand on. You are actively choosing to focus on what you have rather than what you fear you might lose. The next time anxiety tries to take hold of you, turn your attention to gratitude. Start small. Thank God for the air you breathe, for the people you love, for the simple blessings that often go unnoticed. As you practice gratitude, you will see how it transforms your mind, your heart, and your outlook on life. You will experience the peace that comes when you remember that everything you have is a gift from God, and He is always with you. Gratitude is not just a good habit, it's a weapon that can change the course of your day, your mindset, and even your life. It's a powerful tool that reminds you that no matter what's happening around you, God is with you, He is good, and He is in control. When you choose gratitude, you choose peace, you choose joy, and you choose victory over anxiety. In a world that prizes productivity, constant activity, and the hustle mentality, rest is often misunderstood. We are told to go, 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 to push through exhaustion, to work harder, to sacrifice our well-being for success. But the truth is, rest is not a luxury, and it is certainly not a sign of weakness. Rest is a strategy. God himself, after creating the world, chose to rest. In Genesis 2:02, it says, by the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. If the creator of the universe, who has all power and authority, saw the value in rest, how much more should we recognize its importance? Rest is not just for the weary. It's an essential part of the rhythm of life. Rest is a strategy because it allows you to recharge, refocus, and be more effective in everything you do. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give your best when you're running on fumes. When you take time to rest, you give your mind, body, and soul the opportunity to be restored. You create space for creativity, for new ideas, and for clarity of thought. When you rest, you allow God to renew your strength, to refresh your spirit, and to align your heart with his purpose for your life. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus invites us to come to him for rest, saying, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. This is not just physical rest. It is emotional and spiritual rest. It is an invitation to lay down our anxiety, our stress, and our striving, and to trust that God will take care of the things we can't control. Rest is a sign of trust, not weakness, but faith in God's provision. Rest also allows you to be present. When we're constantly on the go, we often miss the precious moments happening right in front of us. We rush through life, focusing on what's next instead of appreciating what's now. Rest allows you to slow down, to reconnect with what matters most: your family, your friends, and your relationship with God. It's not a retreat from life. It's an intentional step toward living a more balanced and fulfilling life. There may be times when you feel guilty for resting, as if you're not doing enough or not working hard enough. But remember this: rest is part of the strategy for a long, healthy, and successful life. It is not a break from productivity. It is an investment in your well-being and your future. If you're feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, or depleted, it's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you need rest. Take a step back, refuel your body, renew your spirit, and allow yourself the grace to rest. Your mind, your heart, and your work will thank you for it. Rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a powerful strategy that strengthens you, restores you, and equips you for the journey ahead. Fear is a natural part of life. It's something we all experience, whether it's fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of loss. But here's the powerful truth: fear does not have to be your master. You have a choice. You can choose to live by faith, not by fear. You can choose to trust God's promises, even when the road ahead feels uncertain. When you make the decision to live by faith, fear loses its power over you. Faith over fear isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a mindset, a way of living, and a decision you make every day. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward in spite of it. It's the belief that even when you don't have all the answers, God is in control and He is working things out for your good. Fear wants you to focus on what could go wrong. It wants you to stay paralyzed, stuck in worry, wondering if you're enough or if the situation is too much for you to handle. But faith shifts your focus. Faith says, God is greater than anything I face. The Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 1:7, for God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Fear comes from the enemy, but faith comes from God. When you choose to walk in faith, you tap into the power He has already given you. The power to overcome, the love that casts out fear, and the self-control to choose peace over panic. Fear tells you that you're not capable. Faith tells you that with God, you can do all things. Fear tells you that you're not equipped for the journey ahead. Faith reminds you that God has already prepared a way. When you choose faith over fear, you are choosing to believe in the goodness of God, the faithfulness of His promises, and the strength He provides